Okay, session 6, section 4. We're going to getting a little bit more personalised and making it a little bit more personalised. So let's have a look now at the marketing message so that you get an idea of how you market your, how you can market your particular modality. So the marketing message can be transmitted in a number of ways, right? So we've got, for example, product or service promotion or brand building. That is, how are you going to market it? And these are the different ways that you can actually get across your message for whatever it is, whatever product it is, or whatever promotion, whatever service you are promoting, I beg your pardon. Now, first thing, one of the most important things is to know very succinctly what to say and how to say it, because it's that first initial marketing message which is actually going to gain the attention of your potential clients. The message should imply that the practitioner is one of the best placed to deal with the health issues, and that's known as selling the competitive advantage. So you need to be able to identify what advantage is it that I have over Joe Bloggs next door, who offers the same service, but that I want to put out there so that clients, prospective clients, see it and choose me over that other person. So it's important to be aware that the marketing message that you send isn't always the message that's received. That's why it's very important that you need to ponder quite carefully and be strategic in terms of what marketing message you're prepared to put out. So what sort of elements of the marketing message might you be thinking of including? Well, first of all, it needs to generate the means of attracting the attention of the target audience. So you want your message to be dynamic, attractive, magnetic. Okay. You need to also focus on the clinic's competitive advantages. What can your clinic offer or your service offer that, as we said before, Joe Bloggs can't? Very important. Identify the market's main health concerns. So a good way to, when you are marketing for natural medicine, is to apply some focus on perhaps the illnesses or the diseases or the symptoms that a client might have. If somebody's got psoriasis and it's something that really is at the forefront of their consciousness because they're embarrassed about it, but let's say it's on their lower leg, they can't wear a skirt. Let's say it's a female client, she can't wear a skirt because every time she wears a skirt, somebody sees the big psoriasis patch on her leg. So if you use the word psoriasis in your marketing strategy or your marketing message, then that person is going to immediately, their subconscious and their conscious attention will be drawn to that. So a good idea is to make sure that you market what some of the symptoms that might be troubling people are. And as well as naming them, you have to offer solutions to those health concerns. So it might be with psoriasis, which is incidentally is quite difficult to treat, but you might say something without declaring that you are giving a curative message. You might say assistance with psoriasis, or we work with psoriasis, or something to that extent. Provide a means of contact in the clinic with a practitioner transmitting the marketing message. So don't forget to put your contact details in, because you're wasting all that marketing money and that message if somebody can't contact you and take advantage of the message that you're putting out. So for next activity, activity 6.4, split up into modality groups and discuss and write up a list of what might go into a marketing message regarding your specific practice. Feed it back to the class. Think about your demographic clientele. Who might your clientele be and how will you meet their needs? So let's say we go back to a fertility subgroup. It's a very, very emotionally there's a lot of emotional trips around fertility for the person, for the client. So that can be a powerful strategy. So if you're working with fertility, we work with increasing people's natural fertility, something like that. Working effectively with treating people's natural fertility. You might not necessarily use a message saying, we treat fertility. Well, you could say that, but we cure for infertility, wouldn't say that. But you might give a very effective message which gives the person a good idea that you will work with them to treat their particular emotive issue. Who or what competition might you have for your chosen area to practice? So there are a couple of things that you will do with this for this activity. Let's have a look at competitive advantage. What are 3 things that separate you from the next person down the street practicing the same modality? And very important, because you don't want to be standing there, or you don't want to be sitting in your clinic room with an empty clinic room and you see lines and lines of people going into the practice next door and they're offering the same sort of thing. So how do you create or generate what's known as a competitive advantage? That little, tiny little, sometimes it's tiny, but sometimes it's very important to the client, just that little edge that actually is going to cause people to select you over the other person. So it may be the prices that you charge. It may be your prices are competitive. It may be your intrinsic non-therapeutic differences. So something as simple as opening days. A person might not be able to get there on a Monday because they work on that particular day, and next door offers Monday, you might offer Tuesday instead. Or your hours. It may be that you choose to work between the hours of 4 in the afternoon and 8 at night, times when many clinics have closed down. You might have that competitive advantage. Parking, big one. Parking is a big one. If people can't park outside your clinic or very close to your clinic, they often will pass you over and go somewhere else. Credit facilities. Do you enable them to allow them to have credit facilities, and which mean that payment is a lot more easy? Do you have Bupa, which means that you have access to immediate access, card access to Medibank and credit unions, etc., which allow people to get an immediate discount, their immediate rebate, I should say, a better word to use. Or is it your personality? Okay, are you out there at the door smiling, or do you smile when they walk in the door? You say, "Hello, how are you? Lovely to see you." Make direct contact, build that bridge of trust with that person. Or it may be simply your therapeutic focus. So offering a Vega analysis, offering live blood analysis, offering weight loss, offering quit smoking, offering fertility treatments, as we talked about before, offering arthritis treatments, etc., etc. And so, as we said before, that might be high in a person's consciousness, a particular issue, and they see that you're treating that, they're going to go to you first, rather than somebody who just is offering a more generalised treatment regime. Okay. And what's the relevance of competitive advantage? Well, and how can you make yourself relevant in that way? So you need to be proactive, develop a website, and if you don't have the skills, go train yourself. Get those skills. It's very hard to exist today in a small business without having a website. People will say, "What's your website? How can I obtain more information?" It's a really good idea to build those skills, those website building skills, or to have, if you're lucky, if you have somebody in your family or your friend circle, your social circle, who actually can help you do that, or alternatively, pay somebody to do it and make sure that they give you the skills to do the day-to-day running of it, so that you're not going to them for every time you want to make a change, which you will want to do. You will want to do. So the competitive advantages you offer need to be relevant to the clients out there. So you need to make sure that it's going to actually be meaningful for the client, that it's going to actually pull them in, magnetise them to you. They need to be demonstrable, so you can't say I'm opening on a Monday and you don't turn up on a Monday because you say, oh, I haven't got any clients today. I think I'll stay home and do some housework instead, or do some other work, some project work instead. Can't do that. If you say you're going to be open on Monday, be open on Monday. Demonstrate your goodwill in and your faith in delivering the goods of what you advertise, and make sure it's measurable too, so that it actually is quantifiable, actually means something to the client. So constructing the message, how do we make that message real? So the message may have core issues with other appeal issues. So have that core issue. Is it about well-being? Is it about absolute health? Is it about anti-aging? Is it about being able to perform well with lots of vital energy? Whatever that core message is, identify that, and whatever ancillary messages that you're going to have that go along with that. So the message needs to be constructed to do 4 things. It needs to get the person's attention. You need to make sure that immediately the person is drawn to what you have to offer. You need to appeal to what they need. What is it that the client needs? You've done your homework. You've done your hard yards in working out what the needs of the client are. Now act on that. Make sure that you appeal to their needs in your message. Offer an attractive solution to those needs. So it may be that your attractive solution is without intervention, or in a holistic, natural and non-interventional way. Whatever it is, provide a means of contact. Make sure that you always do that, because it's and I've done it before. It's easy enough to do, to spend all your time and attention on creating the message, then forgetting to put your contact number down the bottom. What's it do? It nullifies and voids all the energy that you put in. So throughout, the message needs to be simple, using simple language, transmitted in the same language used by the demographic. So if you're speaking to people who have a low socioeconomic demographic, you wouldn't use highfalutin terminology that would actually offset their interest or your attractiveness to them. So it would also reflect the attitudes of the demographic and be aimed in the simplest of terms at everyone within the demographic sector. So be specific, use specific language, target into the specific needs of that demographic, and you will get your best results in that way. And you're not wasting your advertising or your marketing dollar. So the other thing that's important and relevant is, how do you transmit the message? In other words, I've created my message, I've used all those guidelines, how do I get that out into the public? So there are 4 major ways that we can do it. So we work through media types such as newspapers, radio, television, internet websites, all those things that speak directly to people and that people can actually access directly. So the next question is, when do we do it? Where and how frequently? So sometimes one might have one particular marketing program. I'll say that again. I wasn't very clear there. So one might have one particular promotion that one wants to get out there into the public and transmit the message. So how often do you do it? Where do you do it? And how frequently? Have a look at this. It takes 7 repetitions of the same message transmitted from the same source before it's noticed by an audience. And once noticed, 3 repetitions are required before the message is likely to be acted on. And that's market research giving us that piece of valuable information. So you have to put your message out there at least 7 times, and then people might go, oh, I noticed that. But then they might have to see it 3 more times before they say, oh, that's for me. So that's a very, very important piece of information in terms of getting your message out there. What about your budget? How much are you going to spend? You're going to spend, we've spoken a lot about your marketing dollar through this. You don't want to waste your marketing dollar. So let's have a little look. How do we budget for our marketing? Well, it's very useful to set aside a sum, a certain percentage of your clinic income or a certain amount of money each month to devote to marketing. It's part of your budget. You have to think about that. It's the most important part of your budget, because if you don't have clients coming in the door, you don't have a budget at all. So 12 to 14% of your gross income should be invested in marketing if you wish to grow the business. Did you hear that? 12 to 14% of your gross income. So you think about that in terms of your monthly income, 12 to 14% of your monthly income, and that becomes perhaps a more feasible way of calculating it. Corporate research shows that on average, every dollar spent on advertising generates $3 in income. Good to know? Okay. So if you put out $1, you should get $3 back. Put out $10, you get $30 back. So the impact of the financial, some of the things that we need to take into consideration is the impact of the global financial crisis of 2009 to 2011. It did hit people in the hip pocket. It did make the disposable dollar, that is, what have I got left over? The disposable dollar can be defined like this. Once I paid my rent, bought my food, paid my regular bills, paid perhaps my incidental bills, bought my petrol, paid for my insurance, calculated my insurance, etc., into my budget. What do I have left over to spend on me, myself, I? Me, myself, I. And for many people, that disposable dollar can get shrunk by things like what do we call it? Purchases, instant purchases. So I see that, I want it, I buy it. Whoop, that's blown my disposable dollar budget for that week. So the global financial crisis, though, did whittle down that disposable dollar, and that's important to understand. A lot of businesses are still recovering, even though it was, what are we looking at, 4 years ago that it kind of began to recover. It still affects small business survival. So it's important that when you are starting a small business and when you are actually building and growing a small business like you do a child, so in often cases we put as much attention in to a small business as we do to our children. So we're growing it. We see it as a buddling, little bud business, and we grow it and we grow it. We do the best for it. We put a lot of energy into it. We need to make sure that we understand that it may be that little time longer to start to reap the returns. In other words, the child needs to grow a little bit longer before we actually start to see the benefits coming back to us. So we need to invest more into it. And remember to use client advisory boards to facilitate your survival. Get help where you need it. The budgeting website development to your fixed costs. So website development can be a costly thing. That's why I suggest if you are in any way tech savvy, do the learning curve. It can be a challenge, can be a bit of a challenge. Do the learning curve to actually see if you can do it for yourself. Otherwise, budget in a fixed amount, because you can overspend your budget, blow your budget enormously on your website. And make sure that you've got maintenance of the site controllable. And like I said to you before, you don't want to be going to your webmaster every time you want to make a small incidental change in your website. You need to learn those skills at least to go into the back of your website, to be able to click a few buttons and make a few small changes, so that you're not having a large fee from your webmaster every time you get him or her to do something for you. And understand variety and seasonal costs, so that there will be in anything that you do with your business, there will be seasonal costs. So make sure that you take that into account. Have a look, there's your reference there. So your marketing plan, a good marketing plan is a blueprint for marketing your products and services. So make sure that you put due time and attention into creating your marketing plan, because once you've got your marketing plan established, then you've got a path to go forward and to make sure that your business is successful and viable. Here are some activities. Have a look at this. Enter the Google Analytics site and find out how to make the most out of your website. At least one student and or the lecturer or tutor will need a laptop to do this activity. Discuss in modality groups the following and feedback to the class. What does this site provide? How can you increase visitors to your website? How might you push your site to the top of the rankings? Very important, SEO. What use you might make of testimonials. True, solid, trusted testimonials. They're fabulous, because people say, oh, this has happened before. This person has had some success here. I might try it too. What guarantees can you make your clientele without being in breach of the law? So make sure that what guarantees regarding your product or your services that you make are within the law, and that you're not taking your client down a path of where you might actually breach your duty of care to your client by overinflating the success of your products or your services. And how might you use social media to your advantage? A very important aspect. In fact, probably one of the most important aspects of marketing today is social media. Okay.